If you've clicked on this video, you probably have exams coming up and you're probably at least a little stressed about what lies ahead. In this video, I'll be explaining an important law in psychology and also some practical protocols which you can implement to optimize your stress levels and perform the best that you can. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rohan. I'm a 5th year medical student studying at the University of Cambridge. Today we'll be talking about stress and what the right level for performance is. This is so important, but I don't hear many people talking about it. We hear a lot in the media about how stress is bad and how it can have detrimental effects on your physical and mental health. And that's obviously true if you have chronic levels of unmanaged stress, and hopefully we're not at that point yet. But the truth is, we all need some level of stress to be motivated enough to do something. Why is it that we procrastinate weeks leading up to the essay deadline, and then the night before it's due, we suddenly have no issues in focusing and the words just seem to flow? And if we think about where this originates for us as a species, it makes sense. Only those who got sufficiently stressed by like a threatened environment, like a predator, actually did something to respond to that and survived. So the principle I've been alluding to is something I came across in my second year lectures, and it's called the Yerkes-Dodson law. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's basically this curve which shows that there's an optimal level of arousal, which is the scientific term for alertness or stress for performance. Too little stress and you're in the state of like amotivation, but too much stress and you get diminishing returns, and this is particularly true for complex tasks such as studying for exams. The best state to be in is alert but calm, so you can actually focus and get work done. The next step is, how do you tell where you lie on the curve? Well, I think we intuitively know. From personal experience, I might be amotivated when I'm tired, particularly after dinner, and I think Friday evenings are the worst for this, and I just want to go to sleep, or I have an overwhelming sense of CBA and I end up just procrastinating and watching the chess stream. But there are also times when I'm like stressed and I end up getting really overwhelmed about where to start with, which topics to study. And I end up defaulting to work which feels easier. For example, responding to emails or planning rather than actually doing revision. That's a common one. Even sometimes just doing past medicine questions, which I find fairly straightforward, but it might not be the most needle moving aspect of my revision. So you can see that in both states you get procrastination, but actually when you're stressed, it manifests as slightly differently to when you're amotivated. The key thing to note is that your stress levels can fluctuate rapidly, even over the course of a few hours. So understanding this law will help you recognize what state you're in and what steps you then need to take to get to the optimal zone for focus. Great, so we've got the core concept nailed down. How do we leverage this to get into gear to study effectively? The first point is to take care of your physiology, and this will help you not only combat stress, but also ensure you have a higher baseline of motivation. So this is the basic but essential stuff like eating healthily, getting good sleep, and regular exercise. I'll emphasize the sleep component because this is often neglected by students in favor of studying longer. Sleep is what Andrew Huberman calls the foundation of physical and mental well-being, and it has been shown in studies that students who sleep more tend to get better grades. But it's not just the duration of sleep that's important. Matthew Walker, the author of Why We Sleep, says that the 4 pillars of good sleep are quantity, quality, regularity, and timing. Quantity and quality are fairly self-explanatory. Timing refers to your chronotype, which means if you're like a morning person or a night owl. We won't discuss that too much. But regularity essentially means going to bed and waking up at the same time each day. And interestingly, it has been shown that students who have a greater range in the duration of sleep, or their going to bed time and waking up time, don't do as well compared to students who have a more consistent sleep schedule. So a rule we can make from this is to try go to bed and wake up at the same time each day, maybe in like a plus or minus 30-minute window. Important thing is this includes weekends. I know it's very tempting to think that you want to catch up with sleep on the weekend, particularly if you didn't get much sleep during the week, but actually regularity of sleep can be as important, if not even more important, than the raw number of hours that you sleep. Okay, so now let's move to the right of the Yerkes-Dodson curve, because I'm guessing that's where a lot of us are right now, and let's think about how we can address the heightened level of stress that we might face before exams. One of the most powerful techniques, and it's something that I adopt quite a lot, is the stress is enhancing mindset, which is closely related to the growth mindset, which you might have heard about from Carol Dweck. By having a stress is enhancing mindset, you don't see stress as a burden, but a force that enhances your abilities. So it's not that you don't feel any stress, you still get those physical symptoms like maybe an increase in heart rate, some like sweaty palms, but it's about reframing that cognitively by taking that heightened state of alertness and harnessing it into something which you can use in the pursuit of your goals. And this is not just some theoretical concept or some mind's hack, it actually makes a real difference. Studies by Elia Crum, who is a professor at Stanford University, have shown that when Navy SEALs adopt this mindset, it helps them cope with stress and achieve better outcomes and even get along better with their peers. It can even alter our physiology by moderating our cortisol response. Personally, this helps shape my philosophy for exam season. Yes, it feels like a lot, but it also is an opportunity to be the best version of myself by doing deep work, getting into the flow state, and staying on track with daily disciplines, which is why I kind of have this love-hate relationship with exam season. And a lot of this has to do with trusting the process rather than being overly fixated on the end goal. Yes, it's great to have a goal in mind, and we'll talk about this more in the next video, but it can also overwhelm us if we put too much emphasis on getting an A star or a first class degree. Rather, if we ground ourselves in the present and actually enjoy the process of hard work, we can utilize that energy and stress and nervousness building up in us into something positive rather than destructive. This mindset is good to have, but stress can still get the better of us, even to the best of us. So there are some things which I'm going to suggest, which we can all do to reduce our stress in real time. To understand this, it's important to know that there are two arms of the nervous system that govern how alert or stressed we are at a given time: the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is more active when we're stressed, and it biases towards actions with neurotransmitters like adrenaline and noradrenaline. The parasympathetic nervous system, in contrast, is sometimes called our rest and digest system, and it's more active when we're relaxing or during sleep. And it's the balance between these two arms of the nervous system that's important. So if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, to instantly activate that parasympathetic nervous system, you can do something called a physiological sigh, which is basically a double inhale followed by an exhale. So it's kind of like this. So you have a deep inhale, then a little more, and then you breathe all out. And you want a nice and prolonged exhale. And this slows down your heart rate. I mean, even I feel a bit calmer now. And it kicks your parasympathetic nervous system into action. And if you do a few of these, you can really start to kind of bring your level of arousal down, and it can put you in that optimum state for work if you're just kind of all in your head and stressed out. And this is something which I'm planning to do a bit more in my OSCE exams before I go into a station, because I realized I got a little bit nervous heading into each station. So that's something which I'm going to try and improve on for this year's exams. There's also this practice called non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR, which is a term Andrew Huberman coined. And the practice is basically this body scan type meditation, and this basically helps calm you down and restore the equilibrium between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. I sometimes do this after lunch if I'm still feeling a bit tired and wired after my morning work. I'll link the 10-minute video which guides you through the practice down below. It's Andrew Huberman just narrating a meditation script. And finally, engaging in gratitude and mindfulness can be hugely beneficial. A lot of people do this through journaling. I don't journal that often, but I do pray every day, and I thank God for various different things. And why I like these practices is they aren't just distractions. One problem I see these days is sometimes that stress management gets conflated with stress avoidance. For example, there's quite a few student welfare committees at the university, and a lot of welfare events are giving out free cake or petting puppies and stuff like that. I'm not trying to have a go at them, and I acknowledge it's good to have a break, and they do offer more focused counseling stuff, and people derive tremendous benefit from both these things. But ultimately, distractions don't change the underlying stressors, whereas things like breathing protocols to directly activate the parasympathetic nervous system, or even having a gratitude practice or a stress is enhancing mindset, deals with the core problem underlying the stress and helps keep you grounded in reality. For example, I can be thankful to God for each breath that I take, and that I have the opportunity to approach these exams with hard work, and I can also share with you guys what I've found helpful and hopefully, help other people in their exam preparation. Okay, that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll talk about what happens when you find yourself in an A-motivated state, so this is on the left of the Yerkes-Dodson curve, and find out how to get out of it. I hope you find it helpful. If you like this video, you might also want to check out this other video which I've made where I talk about the practical steps with dealing with a high content load to study for exams. I'm sure you'll find that useful too in these times. But anyway, take care, all the best for your exams, and bye for now.